All right. Hello, everyone. This is Erik coming from Kansas again. Sorry for my horsey voice, but I'm getting over something. Um, but I had some, looks like some folks liked the first video or the video I did a few weeks ago on how we got our furnace working again, what was wrong with it, with the burners not lighting. So I want to do a little more overview of furnaces for, in case you want to do this yourself or want to figure out more about how these work. So I want to go over some basic components and operation here for this video. Hopefully it won't be too long. But so I want to go over the components, what goes into and what comes out of the furnace, and then I'll take these panels off and I'll show you some basics in there maybe too. So first of all, before you do anything, I would make sure that you find your manuals for your furnace. So this one came with two. It's got a user's information guide, which for me it doesn't say a whole lot. There's not a lot of good information in there. This one, it's called the installer's guide. Can you see that, Lena, on the screen? The installer's guide. This is the one. This is the one that the HVAC technician used to install the furnace. So it's got, where to put the ducting, how far to keep things away from the inlets and things like that. Where to put your flue pipe in the roof. And it's got all sorts of tables that tell you, there's different models here that this came in. So it tells you the specs on each model. And then in the back here somewhere it tells you, it's got a list of here we go. This page I've referred to quite a bit. It's called the integrated, here, get a picture of this bottom part, Lena. It's called the Integrated Furnace Control Error Flash Codes. I'm guessing your furnace will have something similar, but basically there's a light, you don't need to go in here. There's a light that shines out of this little clear spot. You can't see right there in the camera. We'll show it to you later when I open the panel. And depending on how that light flashes, it'll tell you what's wrong with the furnace. So that's been a helpful little tidbit to find out if this thing's not lighting or it's not powering on or something. It tells you what to look for. All right, gives you a good starting point. So make sure you find your manuals before you do anything with these things, if you're going to do anything by yourself. So with that, before I do anything else here, I'm going to, one of the inputs to a furnace is not only the fuel source or energy source for the heat, but you also have to have electricity so that your fan will blow on all your electronics will work. So most furnaces will have a switch next to them like this one, and it's just like a light switch in your house. You'll just flip it off, and now all the power to the furnace is off, so now you can safely work on it. So now I did that, I can do some more stuff, take the panels off safely and everything else. But before I do anything else here and show you some components, I want to talk about some basics. So I'm just going to talk about, this is just related to natural gas and propane furnaces. There are other furnaces out there or ways to heat your house, like there's oil furnaces. Those are going to be a little bit different. That's liquid fuel versus a gaseous fuel. We don't have any of those here in the Midwest. We do have, some people have electric furnaces, so there's no fuel going in. I guess fossil fuel, you'd say. It's just all electricity, but you probably got only a 240 volt service that you turn on and off, and then that powers both your electronics and fan, and it also powers the elements inside that heat your home. The other ones are heat pumps. You can have an air source heat pump which sits outside like an air conditioner, or you can have a ground source heat pump, which are a lot more expensive upfront cost, but they're a lot more efficient because they just use the constant temperature of the ground to heat and cool your home. But anyway, this is just for natural gas and propane furnaces today. So there's two different types. Really, there's 80% efficient furnaces, and then there's the 90% and above. The way you can tell is you look at the flue pipe right here. If you can see this one. This one's metal. So that means this one's about an 80% efficient furnace. If you have a 90% efficient furnace or above, this flue pipe is going to be plastic, which means it's grabbing a little bit more energy out of the fuel to heat your home, and the flue gases are a lot cooler. But they are more expensive, and there's more stuff that can go wrong because you've got flue gas that condenses water, and that has to be drained out. It's a give and take there. Wherever your filters are at for your HVAC system, that's going to be your intake for the heated and cooled air. So the air comes down here, goes in here. Your big circulation fan is down on the bottom. That blows up through the furnace that heats the air, and then in here is your cooling coils for air conditioning in the summertime. Blows through that too, and then it goes and is distributed to the house. So that's the air. That's the heating and cooled air side. On this one, this is an 80% efficient furnace, so the air it uses for combustion is sucked in through this cover right here, and then the flue gases are exhausted here. So those are your inputs and outputs on the air side for heating and cooling, and then the combustion and flue gas side. Your other inputs are electricity for your fan and electronics, and then here's the natural gas line. And on a propane one, you'll have a propane line as well. So that's the furnace inputs and outputs. So I'm going to open this up now, and this is, keep in mind this is offline. This one has a couple of tabs you turn to the outside, and you can open up the bottom first. I'll take this off. So down here is your fan. You can see the shroud here for the fan, and right here is your electronics that control most of everything. And that light, this red light here, if you can see that on the camera, this red light here is the one that flashes to tell you what's wrong. So you should have something similar on your furnace. There's also some other lights on this furnace that may or may not light up to tell you some things, but that's the main one I pay attention to, that red one for this one. And this furnace was manufactured in 2003, by the way, just for reference. So this next panel is where all the fuel comes in and is combusted. So I mentioned the fan down here to handle all the cooling and heating of the air in your house is down here. Up here is where all the flue gas and combustion air is dealt with. So the combustion air is sucked in right here through these burners, and it's sucked in by this fan. So the first thing that will turn on when you run this furnace is this fan will start to turn, and it will blow. It'll suck air. It'll suck air down through these burners, and it'll suck it into some tubes. You can kind of see in there, and it'll come out of a common suction point here, and it'll blow through the flue and out the roof here in this house. So this thing will turn on and it'll purge the unit. You have to purge the unit before you can safely fire up the fuel. So it'll purge the unit for maybe a few seconds to a minute, and then this gas valve will click on and it'll let gas through here, and all these burners should light up. And so that's how that works. And then later on, I'm going to go over some sensors in here that some more detail or some troubleshooting, problem solving that you can do. But right now, I'm just going to go over the basic components. So this is your fuel line, burners, to make sure some things are working right and not having any issues, and so you can safely fire the fuel. There's a couple of sensors I wanted to point out to you. Right here, you'll have something similar in your furnace. Somewhere in your furnace is a pressure sensor, and what it does is it makes sure the proper pressures or negative pressures being pulled inside here by this fan. If this fan is not turning, or if there's a blockage in here that's preventing flow, this pressure sensor will not sense the right pressure, and it won't allow the fuel to be turned on and combusted, because that would be unsafe if you didn't have a way to get the flue gases out. So that's one safety mechanism. The other safety mechanism is this furnace in particular has these two sensors here. This one right here and over here, and this one right here. It's got two of them. These are your flame sensors. So it has one on each side to make sure that all the burners light. If these flame sensors are gunked over with gunk, which happens every now and then, they won't sense flame properly, and they won't allow the furnace to light. Or in my case, a month or two ago, not all the burners were lighting, and this one was not sensing flame, and so it shut the whole thing off, which is good. Other things you have are, there's a temperature sensor underneath here that senses that makes sure the flames have there's some high temperature in there when it turns on, and there's a temperature sensor right here too, I believe. So those are kind of the basics here of propane natural gas furnaces, just to help you identify things. Hopefully it's pretty much the same in your furnace. If you have a 90% or above the efficient furnace, you're going to have some additional heat exchangers in here and some additional tubing collecting the condensate that's going to have to be removed. So you may see some extra tubing and whatever in there. So don't let that scare you. That's all that is. Anyway, I want to show you some basics for if you want to tackle some home furnace repair or try to troubleshoot it on your own. But hope you enjoyed that. If you have any questions or comments, let me know. And we'll see you in the next video where I'm going to do some more specifics on some other troubleshooting having to do with furnaces. So grace and peace be with you, and bye for now.